it's obvious Bret Hart has no love lost for Bill Goldberg, but Goldberg just responded to Bret Hart on Chris Van Vliet's podcast Insights. And Trevor, I want you to take a listen and react to this when we hear the clip.
How do you feel? Like 25 plus years later, Bret Hart still like has this animosity. It feels like
I really don't care anymore about Bret. I could care less. You know Louis, right? All I can tell you is this: Louis and I know, and Knobs knows through Legends of Wrestling that shortly thereafter, all that shit that happened, I talked Louis into giving Bret Hart a job at Legends of Wrestling. He must forget about stuff like that. You know, he must forget about the conversations we had back then. But
I think people don't think you guys have talked since that match.
Well, we've talked a couple times. As of late, because of the things coming out of his mouth, I don't really know that I would be talking to him if I saw him. But hey, man, I'm 57 years old. I don't need to prove anything to Bret Hart or to any other human being. You know, the fact is, it was a mistake. I was extremely green in the business, and anybody who knows me knows that if I didn't intend to hurt him, then it was an accident. You know, if I intended to hurt him, then I'd be the first one to tell him.
Sure.
And you and everyone else. But man, I was green, dude. I mean, it was a screw up in the match, and it's live on national television.
Yeah.
And there's two people that have to dance, and you can only do so much. And you know, I mean, things went awry, and it is what it is. But
so that was Bill Goldberg on Chris Van Vliet's show, Insights. Wonderful show, wonderful interview. Go check it out, everyone. But Trevor, Bret Hart, you know, look, Goldberg helped him get a job, apparently. Goldberg did a lot of good things. He doesn't know why Bret's mad. What do you think?
I think I know why Bret's mad. I mean, here's the thing. We all know Goldberg. I'm sorry, my dog is doing weird things. We all know that Goldberg, especially later in his career, was a botch artist. We know that. He's given concussions. He almost gave a concussion to the Undertaker, almost broke the Undertaker's neck. And so we do know he's a bit stiff, and two, he doesn't really know what he's doing. 1, 2, 3 kid. But like, I will say this. All those years later, Bret Hart is the one that, like, you ask him what that time of day it is, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that time Goldberg ended my career." Like, he just brings it up. Like, you don't ask him about it; he just talks about it. So at this point, dude, Goldberg's old, Bret's ancient. It's time to leave it alone. Like, I mean, I don't know how much of what Goldberg says I believe, because right now he's starting to sound like Hulk Hogan. But I mean, especially when you mention Knobs. I mean, you know.
That's what I was saying. I was like, Pity City. Hey, look at that. Like, he knows. Look.
You mentioned Knobs too, so like, I don't know, buddy. I don't know. But yeah, like, I mean, I think Bret should leave it alone again, but it doesn't change what Goldberg did. You know what I mean? It happened.
I think it's interesting because, look, if there were an award for player hater of the decade or player hater of the century, it'd probably go to Bret Hart for the way he's handled the whole Goldberg situation. Like, it's very obvious he has he has all but ill will towards Bill Goldberg. Now, I could see why Bret is angry or whatever. I can see it because I think, like, Goldberg to Bret, and if you listen to, like, the way Bret Hart talks about Goldberg, it's not just, oh yeah, Bill Goldberg, you know, he belongs in the Hall of Shame because he ended my career. I was going up to Ontario, like you know, like, it's not just because Goldberg ended his career. I think if you listen to the way he talks about wrestling in general, Bret Hart, I think, sees Goldberg as a symbol for what he perceives to be wrong with wrestling. And
Right,
that's
like
like,
on the downfall of that particular era of wrestling.
well, not even that era. I think he's been pretty critical of like this era in general of wrestling. One of the I think one of the things that I've gotten from listening to Bret Hart, complain about Bill Goldberg over the years has been like, I don't think Bret Hart thinks that like people who are not ready to be in that ring and perform should be in that ring. Yet, we've seen a pattern. It's not just Goldberg of people who probably could use more time in the ring to hone their craft and whatnot. Just come in and get like automatically like uplifted to the main roster or whatever it is. I think Bret has a problem with that, and Goldberg has been a representative of that. It also just happens to be that he has a constant reminder, Bret does, of what the pitfalls of having someone like that in the ring are, and that is that you're good. Like he ended his career, right? And that's not saying
Right.
like anything can happen, right? I don't. Anyone who tells you that Bill Goldberg deliberately ended Bret Hart's career doesn't know what they're talking about. Even Bret doesn't say that. But I think it's part of a larger conversation of like, do we have people who are not ready to be in that ring? And I think that's what Bret Hart saw and Goldberg represent, and I think that's why the energy persists to this day.
I mean, it's Brett, like you say, that is actually very accurate. I believe. I mean, Brett has been very vocal on wrestlers. Like, I mean, hey, hell, what's his name? Natalia's husband. He pretty much tore him apart at one point because he didn't think he was ready to be in the ring. Like he's been critical about even his own sons. Like he's honestly has done it through the years. So I that doesn't make that actually makes sense to me. Like I mean I can see that being um I can see that being the you know true for Bret Hart. Like anyone else, I wouldn't say it would be true, but for Bret, I honestly believe it's true. Like if he doesn't think you're fit, you're gonna hear it.
Oh, you'll hear it all right. You'll hear it. Yeah, I was taking a walk. I was walking my dog, and then I thought about Goldberg, and I just got really mad. I just love you won't even ask him about Bill Goldberg, and Brett will just like immediately just be like, yeah,
You don't have to say a word. You can say, "Yeah, Bret, do you still watch Raw? Yeah, especially that Raw after a couple months after Goldberg broke into my career."
yeah, yeah, I know. It was an honor headlining Wembley Stadium, SummerSlam '92, one of the greatest moments of my career. But then that rat bastard Bill Goldberg in 1999. He's just
like,
yo, shout out to hey, look, we're here to make peace. Brett, Bill, it's been 20 years. Look,
make peace, not war, guys. Make peace, not war.
hell yeah.